Hello and welcome to the continuation of this stream with the tier list. I heard that people liked the previous one, so I definitely wanted to continue this. And I left you off at we didn't have a definite bomb yet. We did break this, but we can sort of fix it every time. But we need to do this every time we get to a new row, though. But that's fine. Other than that, yeah. So we didn't get a definite bomb yet, but I know that there are some in here. We got to about a third of the tier list before my voice got tired and it got a little bit late here. I think we have a little bit more time today, though. But we might need 3 streams for this. Let's just continue and start where we left, which is at Grandmaster of Flowers. 4 mana Planeswalker. Another Sunny Boy, as we left off with Gideon, I now remember. But this one, if it has 7 or more loyalty counters, that's sort of his ultimate. He becomes a 7/7 god creature with flying and indestructible. Okay, so that could help you finish that game. Now, target creature without first strike, double strike, or vigilance can't attack or block until your next turn. That is a bit of protection on the 4 mana Planeswalker. And you can search your library and or graveyard for a card named Monk of the Open Hand. But these are not too impressive. I already need to start looking for the cards. Monk of the Open Hand. So yeah, there are these. Let's see if it still works. It does. That's so amazing that it works. But it's a 1/1 with whenever you cast your second spell, each turn put a +1 counter on them. So can grow pretty fast. And it is a bit of protection. And if your deck is built around the second spell thing, I think you kind of need this. So I think this is our first synergy piece of the day, because it does work very well in that particular deck. Let's move on. Grist the Hunger Tide, a 3 mana 1 with the static ability where as long as Grist isn't on the battlefield, it's a 1/1 insect creature in addition to its other types, which means that you can look for it as it is a creature. It means other things from your hand. Well, I'm not really too sure, but what it really means. I have never seen someone break this yet, but it feels like you should be able to break this. Create a 1/1 is +1, then mill a card. If an insect card was milled this way, which also could be Grist, put a loyalty counter on Grist and repeat this process. Okay, so might be a +1, might be a +2, and then the ultimate comes really fast. So if this is in an insect deck, then that means that this could pretty quickly become a bomb. The -2 is you may sacrifice a creature when you do destroy target creature or planeswalker. That's pretty good. I think that is just a 1 mana worth of spells. But I should mention as well that the milling of the cards can be very good in the insect deck on its own. Okay, but the -5 says each opponent loses life equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. If you have such a very polished deck, maybe you don't even play too many lands with it, and then it's just insects, and maybe like a 1 or 2 mana card to put a 1/1 onto the battlefield from your hand or something, and you can play Grist because of that. I think that is a very interesting deck. So I think this should be breakable and might be a combo piece, actually. So I think this is a very conditional bomb, actually. Interestingly enough, but I'm not sure how. Okay. Huatli, the Dinosaur Knight, a 6 mana legendary planeswalker. Put 2 +1 counters on up to 1 target dinosaur. We have seen that before and it's not too good, and it's on a 6 mana planeswalker. Target dinosaur you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So that is, I think, 2 mana. So that's definitely not worth it. Dinosaurs you control get +4/+4 until end of turn, but you won't get to there very soon. So I think this is just sauce. It might be from a battle deck. The Radiant Champion, put a loyalty counter on her for each creature you control. We have seen this before because it is pretty good. Because you can plus her very fast. And she has an emblem. I think that is the most important part here. You can give a creature with her -1 +X, where X is the number of creatures you control. Could be a finisher as well, so I think that makes her already a conditional bomb. But in a bit of in a few turns, you can get an emblem with whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. I think this makes her a conditional bomb as well. We are going pretty fast with those, but I think that is very true. Did we? No. What's this? I'm not sure. I think this is an internet card again. Why do I... Oh, the Jaces got mixed up. Wait, I think that's it. The cards got mixed up again? Oh yeah, it does this sometimes. Okay, but that's fine. I'll manage it. But now we have to look a bit. Oh, that really sucks a little bit. How did this happen? See, there are more Jaces here. Huh? This website is a little bit clunky sometimes. It's a very good one. I think everyone uses this, but it's a little bit clunky sometimes. Plus the downloading took like an hour. The uploading, I mean. Because I had to go back every time. But okay. Watley, the Sun's Heart. 3 mana. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. So that is synergy, I think, for the big toughness decks. Which are usually Golgari, I think. But could take white with them. -3, you gain life. Meh. But I think it's there for this part. And then it's a surprising, but I think that just makes her very playable, to be honest. It's not really a synergy piece where you really win with it. Warrior Poet, you gain life. Don't like that. Create a 3/3 with Trample, but you don't get to plus her with that for 5 mana. If you do that twice, that's kind of worth. That's kind of worth. -X though, deal X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Creatures dealt this damage this way can't block this turn. I think barely, maybe playable, maybe just sauce. I think we should put her in just sauce, to be honest. That's not something you would play. Jace Arcane Strategist. So now we have to look a bit. But that's no problem. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a +1 counter on target creature. That is static. So I think that makes it pretty good. Draw a card for a +1 is also pretty good, but it's on 6 mana. So that would mean I would want to draw 4 or 5, maybe 5. So no, you never get to do that. At -7 is the next part. I don't think this is good. Creatures you control can't be blocked this turn. That's just sauce. Sorry, Jace. Architect of Thought. Until your next turn, whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, it gets -1/-0. That's a bit of protection, so that's okay. -2, reveal the top 3 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library. So, small factor fiction. That's 4 mana as well. You would need to do this twice though to make it worth. Could you? Well, it's good against some decks, so maybe this makes him playable. What's the ultimate? For each player, search that player's library for a non-land card and exile it. Then the player shuffles. You may cast those cards without paying their mana cost. So that is a game winner. But will you really get to there? I don't think so. I think this is playable on some decks. You thought we were going there, but we weren't. I thought so too, actually. Where is he though? Oh, here. 3 mana plus 2, each player draws a card. Okay, that's interesting because then that means for 3 mana you can very quickly make this a 5 loyalty Planeswalker, which is hard to take down, and your opponent's drawing a card might be a drawback for them in your deck. -1 is to only have you draw one. And -10 is target player puts the top 20 cards of it. Okay, so that is a little bit of synergy, I guess, but I think that just makes him very playable for the mill deck. Cast Away, 3 mana. Oh yeah, I remember. So this is a conditional bomb, I think. +1 whenever one or more creatures you control deal common damage to a player this turn, draw a card and discard a card. So could be multiple times if you have multiple attacks, I guess. -2, create a 2/2 that is an illusion, which means that they have to be sacrificed when they become a target. And -5, create 2 tokens that are copies of Chase, except they're not legendary. And I think the combo was that you could make infinite copies by making him enter with a lot more counters or something. Or then maybe because you create 2. Yeah, so that is a conditional bomb because of that infinite, I would say. Yeah, still not really. Is it always a bomb? No, it's only in that deck. Is it always a bomb? Yeah, but no, that's not how we did the other ones. I think I still doubt about the ready though. Yeah, okay, I don't know. Ingenious Mind Mage. 6 mana, draw a card. Would you ever do that? No. Untap all creatures you control though. That could be in some decks a thing you would want to do actually. But 6 mana. Yeah, plus you always plus him, and he starts at 5, and then you need like 5 turns to gain control of 3 target creatures. Doesn't really win you the game either. I think this puts him in playable. Barely. Let's put him there, because I think that's the only card that got jumbled. But I'm not sure about that. No, because Karn... oh well. Memory Adapt, 5 mana, draw a card. Target player puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Make them mill 1. Okay. 0, target player puts the top 10 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Wait, that's way better. The draw a card though. +1 to draw a card, basically what you do there. 0 is mill 10. For 5 mana? No, that's just worth 2. -7, any number of target players each draw 20 cards. In your mill deck, that is pretty good, but not really winning yet. I would say maybe because you draw that many cards, but is it playable even anymore? No, I don't think so, just sauce. Mirror Mage. Here is a kicker card, 3 mana or 5, and that means you kicked him. When he enters the battlefield, if Jace was kicked, you create a copy with starting loyalty 1. So it can start scrying. The other part is that you draw a card, reveal it, remove a loyalty counter equal to the cards. Oh, converted mana cost from Jace. So you can still draw a card with the other one. For 5 mana, draw 2. It's almost good. And then if you can do it again next turn, it is a little bit of a goat there. So I think that makes him playable, but not really very playable yet, I would say, to be honest. Because when is this really good is if you can keep them around. And that's not really happening. So playable. The Living Guild Pack though. 4 mana. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them into your graveyard. So you're in Recursion. Then you play a 4 mana. You look at the top 2. No, that's not really good. You can mill 3 for 1. Return another oh, it's also the filtering. So it's like, okay. Yeah, I guess you can choose what you draw as well. So that's pretty good. Return another target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. that is 2 mana, maybe 1. Each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into his or her library, and you will never get to there. I think this is sauce again. And yeah, it's a core set. Okay, here we go. The legendary one. The Mind Sculptor, 4 mana. Look at the top card of target player's library. You may put that card on the bottom of that player's library. So I think at this point, that ability is pretty good, but not in multiplayer formats. But very, very much so in not too heavy 1v1s. Draw 3 cards, so at the 0, then put 2 from your hand on top of your library in any order. I think that is the very good one. But is that a bomb though? It doesn't win you the game yet. -1, return target creature to its owner's hand. Like I said, I don't really... It's flexible, but it's not really that good. And then -12 is exile all cards from target player's library, and then that player shuffles their hand into their library. To be honest, this is pretty good. It's very flexible, but it's not the legendary status I would... And I wouldn't even put it at a bomb. Is that harsh to say? I think I can't really say that of Chase the Mind Sculptor. But I think I should still say it and stay with it, because it's not really a bomb. It doesn't really win you the game there. That's harsh, but I don't think it does win you the game. It is very playable. Is it must remove soon? Should we put it there just because it's in? Damn. I don't even think that's the case. You don't really have to. Is it synergy? No, not at all. It doesn't help you with your specific strategy either. Is he still played? I don't know. I think we will just put him in very, very playable and then at the first. Wow. I didn't expect to do that, actually. But yeah, I think it's the correct thing. Okay, new Jace, the Perfected Mind. 4 mana, might be 3, but then he enters with 3 loyalty counters and otherwise with 5. Until your next turn, up to 1 target creature gets -3 power. That is protection, I like that. Target player mills 3 cards, and if a graveyard has 20 or more, you draw 3 cards. And you don't have to put anything back. That's a lot of value. Otherwise, your draw card's pretty good as well. So it's in a mill deck. I think this already makes it better than the legendary Jace, to be honest. Of course, it is more flexible. It has 4 sides, but this is also flexible. You can choose whether you play it at 3 or 4. And then target player mills 3 times X cards, which is a -X ability, which is also very good. So for 4 mana, you might make them mill 15. Is that good? 4 mana, mill 15? That's pretty good. I think it is a synergy piece in mill decks. That's so harsh. I'll put it here to remember this. Unraveler of Secrets. Where's the guy? I don't know what happened here. 5 mana, scry 1, draw a card. That's 2 mana worth. Return target creature card to its owner's hand, though. That's 1 mana. So no, it's already just sauce. You won't get to the ultimate either. Wielder of Mysteries, 4 mana. I've seen this in play in Standard. If you draw a card while you're laboring... Oh, of course, it's a combo piece as well. So it's a conditional bomb. We know that already. Because you can very easily empty your deck at this point, and then Jace wins you the game. And I have built a deck with him recently, which was a Muldrotha deck, where you aim to have just permanence in your deck, and then you mill all of your sorceries, and then you play all the permanents that you find. So as we don't have any sorceries and instants, you instantly mill your whole deck. And then, because you know that you will have a Jace on the battlefield, you will win. Unless he gets removed. But that is a combo. And it is pretty funny if it is removed anyways. So yeah, conditional bomb, definitely. But is it maybe a definite bomb? Is it a bomb everywhere? No. It definitely isn't. But in some decks, it can win you the game. Jared Garthalion. I honestly don't know how to say that, but I know he's important. But 5 mana, all colors, legendary planeswalker who can be your commander. So it's a 5 mana commander, and that also already makes him a synergy piece. Well, we have seen one that wasn't. Create a 3/3 with all colors. Oh, so I think that's synergy for your 5 color deck. Choose up to 2 target creatures. For each of them, put a number of +1 counts on it equal to the number of colors it is. So that could be 5. So in 2 turns you get an 8/8. For 5? Okay, that's pretty good, to be honest. 5 mana 8/8, but it is 5 colors and it doesn't trample yet. But on your other 5 color creatures, okay, it's 5 color tribal, it's still synergy. It isn't really a bomb though. Putting 5 counters on something for 5 mana, would that win you the game? Not immediately, not on its own. But it is conditionally a lot of power, but it needs evasion already. There aren't any yet, so it's not. But because of the lack of cards, I think, that have those clauses. -6 though, which you can get to pretty easily. Just 2 turns. I like that. Return target multicolored card from your graveyard to your hand. If that card was all colors, draw a card and create 2 treasures. Graveyard to your hand? Huh? That's not even 2 mana. Okay. I think synergy piece because of the first 2 things, but the ultimate really stuns me, to be honest. Jaya Balar. I remember this one, and I think it's pretty good. 5 mana, add 3 mana for instants and sorceries. I think that already makes it a synergy piece. Like, I use this card sometimes. Discard up to 3 cards, so then draw that many cards. That is really good as well, and it's a +1 still. I think this makes her a very strong synergy piece, but I don't think it is a bomb. Because it doesn't win for you when she enters. Plus, -8 though, you get an emblem with you may cast instant and sorcery spells from your graveyard. If a spell was cast this way, you have to exile it. Okay, so that is a lot of value. Isn't really a bomb because it doesn't win you the game when she enters. It takes a few, like 2 turns before she really helps you win the game. It is a synergy piece because of the massive ramp and the discarding. So yes, in a flashback deck, that is a synergy piece. For example, Negotiator. 4 mana, +1 create a 1/1 with prowess. That makes her playable. Is it synergy? No, not yet. -1, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them, you may play it this turn. I think that makes her very playable already, that flexibility. You choose target creature an opponent controls. When you attack, she deals damage equal to the number of attacking creatures to that creature. So removal, that's still very playable, not really. It's must remove soon. She does protect herself, so but not very well. I don't think that is the case. -8 though, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a red instant. Yeah, that doesn't win, but I will keep her at very playable for that. Venerated Fire Mage. If another red source you control would deal damage, it deals that much +1. That is very playable already. 5 mana though, just playable. -2 is deals 3 damage to any target with the ability she has. For 5 mana. So she does protect herself. Okay, very playable, I would say. And that's impressive from a uncommon. Jeska thrice can be a commander, so very synergistic already. 3 mana, enters with a loyalty counter for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this time. Oh, she also has partner, yeah, of course. So you want to play her with a small commander maybe, and then she enters with a lot of loyalty, and the -X says deal X damage to up to 3 targets. Ooh, to 3 targets. And could be 3 faces as well. So if you play your commander 40 times, you won't do that, will you? 0 though, choose target creature. I think this makes her a conditional bomb, to be honest, because I know there are some ways to do this infinitely, so that is unconditional or a conditional bomb already. 0, choose target creature until your next turn. If that creature would deal combat damage to one of your opponents, it deals triple that damage. So yeah, that is definitely a conditional bomb. Okay. I convinced myself. Jianggu, 5 mana, +1, target creature gets +2/+2. That's worth 2, maybe 1. If you don't control a creature named Mowu, you create a 3/3. 5 mana, 3/3, can't be more, it's not too good. Could get to the -5 until end of turn, target creature gains trample and +X/+X, where X is the number of lands. Trample and +X for the number of lands. In 2 turns, that is a must remove soon, to be honest, because that could win you the game. For +6/+6 and trample, you do need a creature, but I think it is must remove soon. Jianggu, Wild Crafter, 3 mana legendary planeswalker. Each creature you control with a +1 counter on it has tap to add mana. That is really good. That is synergy. That is already a synergy piece. Where is he though here? Put a +1 counter on target creature. Yeah, I think this makes him a synergy piece. We have seen an effect before that does this, and it makes the card really good. Kaido... here. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may return one of them to its owner's hand. So, sort of ninjutsu. If you do, you may activate loyalty counts of Kaido twice this turn rather than only once. Okay. Okay. Up to 1 target creature can't attack or block this turn. That's protection, and if you do that twice, that's twice protection. Otherwise, 4 mana, and if you have ninjutsu the card, you draw 2, maybe. Or you can mix them up, of course. But drawing 2 for 4 is on par, and then you still have a planeswalker. So I really like that. -2, so I think... is that synergy though? Yeah, that is synergy piece. Because of the returning through your hand and ninjas like that and stuff. -2, create a 2/2 with Death Touch, and when this leaves the battlefield, drain 2 from each opponent, but you only gain 2 life. That's a bit of protection as well, actually. I would say... synergy piece though. Actually, above the Jace. I can't see anything else than above the Jace right now, to be honest. I feel like I made a mistake. Kaido Shizuki, 3 mana at the beginning of your end step. If he enters the battlefield this turn, he phases out. So that is protection. So you can keep this on the battlefield for 2 turns, probably. +1, draw a card and discard a card unless you attack this turn. Sure, that's okay. Create a 1/1 that can't be blocked is synergy, because that's a very relevant ability that isn't on a lot of cards. And that's for just 3 mana, that is really good. I think already. 3 mana, make a 1/1 that's unblockable is pretty good if you get to keep your commander, which you do. And then you definitely will be able to draw a card as well. 3 mana, draw a card, get a 1/1 unblockable is very good. -7, you get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a blue or black creature card, put it onto it. So that does win you the game, but you will, again, not very easily get to there. But I think this is a synergy piece because of that. Kaido is pretty strong. Karn liberated, about strong. Let's get all the Karns in here. Is that it? I don't believe it. 7 mana, 6. +4. Target player exiles a card from their hand. That's like a discard effect, but they don't get to recur it, I guess. But +4, that takes him to 10. Then again, so 2 turns until we ultimates. But -3 to exile target permanent is very good. That will eventually win you the game. And if you do this first, protect yourself, then exile a card from their hand. That is a very big blowout for the 7 mana, and then it becomes pretty worth it, but you need a lot of ramp, of course. I think this makes it not even really a bomb, to be honest, and it is not synergy. It is must remove soon. Next to Youngju. Let's put him here. Minus 14 is restart the game, leaving in exile all non-aura permanent cards exiled with Karn. Non-aura, so you want this in an aura deck? That feels so weird. Then put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. That's pretty fun. But still, that you won't get to there again. Might though, if it's so late that you've been controlling. Kudos to you, but I will not put it into the bomb thing. Karn Living Legacy makes Power Stones for 4 mana. 4 mana ramp, colorless. Pretty good. So I think this also already makes it very playable. -1, pay any amount of mana and look at that many cards from the top. Then put one of those into your hand and the rest on the bottom. So that is a lot of scrying, just need to pay mana. So we'll do that later then. And you will have the Power Stones to help you, of course. So, sort of Power Stone synergy. Should we call it? Yeah, that's synergy, I guess. -7, and maybe you want to keep plussing him. You get an emblem with tap an untapped artifact you control. This emblem deals 1 damage to any target. That will win you the game pretty fast if you have kept +1ing him. Okay, I think this makes him a synergy piece in that sense. Scion of Ursa. Reveal for 4 mana, reveal the top 2 cards of your library. An opponent chooses one of them. Put that card into your hand. Oh yeah, I remember now. Okay, and the other gets exiled with a silver counter on them. Then -1 to put a card you own with a silver counter on it into your hand. So you might draw 2 in a bit. I think this makes him a must remove soon. Because he also protects himself eventually with the -2. Create a 0/0 with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. I think that makes him someone you want to remove soon. Karn the Great Creator, 4 mana. Activated abilities of artifacts your opponents control can't be activated. That is great for stack, so that is synergy already. Which is impressive, so soon. +1 onto your next turn, up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness each equal to its converted mana cost. Wait. Until your next turn, up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact with power. Oh, okay. So you can make a 7/7 pretty easily, I think. Is it synergy though? It is already synergy. You may choose an artifact. It is not a conditional bomb because of it. You may choose an artifact card you own from outside the game or in exile. Reveal it, put it into your hand. I think that does make it a conditional bomb. But is it an unconditional bomb? Well, the thing is, sideboarding is a bit of a difficult subject. And you need to ask that. And because of that, it becomes a conditional bomb. But otherwise, it would be pretty unconditional because every deck can use this. I think we should put him at our first definite bomb, actually. But only if you get your opponents to agree on having a sideboard. Then it is really good. Because if you can have the normal 7 cards of sideboard, which are allowed on Arena, in these kinds of standard situations where sideboarding is not normal. If you get your opponents to agree, that means you can choose any of those 7 artifacts, and they will be big chunky artifacts, and that is a shooter, and that is definitely a bomb for any deck. I'm convinced. Weird. I didn't expect this at all. Kasmina, and after this we'll do a little bit of a break. But Kasmina, and let's see. We have more, I think, Kasminas. Was that it? Yeah, seems that way. Okay. I play this one as well, and I'll tell you it's in Azuri. But mostly because there's a lot of proliferate in there nowadays. But 3 mana, each other planeswalker you control has the loyalty abilities of Cosmina. And what does that mean? All of these planeswalkers can now +2 to Scry 1. Which means they have a +2 now and they can very quickly ultimate. Some of them didn't have a +2 ability, and that makes her already a synergy piece for planeswalker decks. The -X is create a fractal with X +1 counters. That could be a pretty quick win there. Not because she can do this, but because your other planeswalkers, let's say the Karn from before who entered with 6 and then easily becomes a 10, can very easily make a 10-10 then. -8, they have this as well, and some planeswalkers, I think, like, let's see, let's look at this Karn, for example, +4, and then he can ultimate it already. But it is search your so this doesn't really work. But search your library for an instant or sorcery card that shares a color, and Karn doesn't have any colors. But there are some other big planeswalkers, of course. With a planeswalker, exile the card and shuffle, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. So a tutor where you don't have to pay for the mana cost, if you can get that onto the battlefield, which you can, that makes her a condition bomb. But you do need the planeswalkers, the big planeswalkers on the battlefield, so that is a big condition. And then one more, and then we do a little bit of a break. Cosmina, Enigmatic Mentor, 4 mana, spells your opponents cast that target a creature or planeswalker you control costs 2 more to cast. So that's War 2, basically. Basically, but because no abilities, I think. -2, create a 2/2 blue wizard creature token, draw a card and discard a card. That is very good. I think this makes her playable. But protection? No, I think that's still playable. So 1 minute. Sometimes you just have to do some things. All right, let's move on. We just did the Cosmina. Yeah, and we were wondering a little bit, but I think this is the right choice. Moving on to the Kayas of this world, which are pretty clumped up. That's nice, at least. 6 mana is a little bit steep, so wouldn't say do it for that is a lot of good omens there. Your opponents and permanents your opponents control with hexproof can be target of spells and abilities you control, as though they didn't. Too specific. -3 to exile a creature for 6 mana, and if you can do that twice, then yes, otherwise no. I think very specific, not even playable, to be honest. Just play a lot of draw and exile if you are into that. Geist Hunter. Yeah. Creatures you control for 3 mana gain Death Touch and put a +1 counter on up to 1 target which you control. A +1, that's playable. So Until end of turn, -2. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many are created instead. That is synergy, definitely. -6 though, exile all cards from all graveyards, then create a 1/1 for each card exiled. That could win you the game, but that's very hard to get to. I think still synergy for the -2. Ghost Assassin, 4 mana. Can immediately -2. Each opponent discards a card and you draw a card. 4 mana, draw a card, each opponent discards. In some decks, could be good, but it's not. No, I don't think so. -1. Each opponent loses 2, you gain 2. It's okay. 0. Exile her or up to 1 target creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of your next upkeep. So flickering them. Okay, flickering is synergy, but flickering can be way cheaper. And if it's 4 mana, it will be way better. And consistent. So I think this makes her playable in those decks, but not even very playable, to be honest. But she is very flexible, so maybe that makes her very playable again. In those decks that are Orzhov as well. Gaia Intangible Slayer, the new one, I think. Yeah, right? Yeah, I think so. 7 mana. Hexproof, which is interesting, which is new, I think, as well, in the Planeswalker. 6 loyalty. Can immediately -3 to exile target creature or enchantment. Oh, to steal them right away, but for 7 mana. But to steal them right away, I like that. If it wasn't an aura, create a 1/1 spirit with flying that is that creature. Let's go with that. 0 mana, draw 2, then each opponent may scry 1. Scrying is way less good than drawing 2. Is really good as well. If you can do that 3 times, that becomes worth it, I think, because of how slow that is. +2, each opponent loses 3 and you gain 3. So that is... I would say you would have to play her for the -3 and then it's very playable. But you need a lot of ramp. Or maybe you can play her very fast, but it's a Planeswalker, so there aren't as many cards for that as for creatures. Orzhov Usurper, 3 mana for a 3 loyalty 1. Exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. You gain 2 life if at least 1 creature card was exiled this way. Graveyard Hate, that's okay, that's playable in some format. -1, exile a non-land permanent with less than 1 converted mana cost. Huh? I mean, there are a lot that are very important in some formats. So very playable. Not really must remove soon from that. Might become just an ultimate. It says deals damage to target player equal to the number of cards that player owns. And you gain that much life. Exile synergy? No, you won't get to that so easily. Gaia the Inexorable. 5 mana, put a ghost form counter on up to 1 target non-token creature. Oh, it gains when this dies. Return it to its owner's hand and you get a 1/1. I think that would make her, even at 5 mana, very playable already. The -3 is exile non-land permanent. Yeah, that's still playable. But the protection for your creature is protection for your Planeswalker as well. So you might pretty easily get to the -7 in 3 turns. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a legendary spell from your hand, from your graveyard, or from among cards you own in exile. Okay, so that is a must remove soon, I would say. And because she makes protection, and the ultimate is really scary. I will put her there. Kiora. That's interesting. Because this one is just a 3 mana thing that untaps a permanent. But we have all seen lands that make a lot of mana. And they become more and more common. So I would say at least a conditional bomb because of that. But then let's think. The other ability as well is pretty relevant. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card. The thing is, in those decks that really have those enchantments, this is a really good bomb. But it isn't a bomb for every deck, I think. Because untapping just a creature is just vigilance. So no. Or just a ramp 1 for 3, that's not good. But it is a bomb in some decks that can get that will make her 3 mana make 12 mana. So yeah, it fuels a lot of infinites, which makes her very good. Kiora, Master of the Depths, 4 mana, 4 loyalty, untap up to 1 target creature and up to 1 target land. Okay, that's I guess the same, just 4 mana. Plus it is a plus, so you can more easily keep using her. Does enter with 4 instead of 7 though, so that is a downside again. But I think that makes her again a pretty conditional, but more conditional bomb. -2, reveal the top 4 cards. You may put a creature and or a land card into your hand. 4 mana draw 2 is very good as well. So I think the flexibility again puts her here. -8, you get an emblem with whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have it fight target creature, then put... oh no, wait. After you put the emblem onto, into existence, you put 3 8/8s onto the battlefield, who then fight 3 creatures, of course. Okay, so that is value, but doesn't win you the game and is pretty dangerous, I would say. But it's mostly the +1, honestly, that makes her a bomb, which is very weird to say. Crashing Wave, let's see here. Onto your next turn, prevent all damage that would be dealt to and dealt by target permanent and opponent controls. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to and dealt by permanent. 1 permanent protection. Again, we have seen this before. It's not the best kind of protection, but it is a bit of protection. -1, draw a card. You may play an additional land. So that's 2 mana. We know that. It seems like the -1s always are like half the cost of the Planeswalker is what is usual. And that's especially the case for the ones that can do that twice and then die. But that makes it better because it's on 1 card, but it takes a little bit of time. You know that's the thing with Planeswalkers, and then you really want to remove them, which is mostly what I see them as goat pieces. But I don't want to for today. It's not fun. But -5, you get an emblem with at the beginning of your end step, create a 9/9. Okay, but that is very slow as well. So I think we should look at the prevented damage that she protects herself, which makes her playable. Not more than that. Tide's Fury is, I think, an online card, yeah. So not today, maybe later. Koth, Fire of Resistance, the new one. 4 mana. A bit of the cool new Planeswalker art thing where we have the overlap here, which is pretty cool, but not relevant for this one today. +2, search your library for a mountain, reveal it, put it into your hand. That's not ramp, but it is making sure that you get your land drops, which at 4 becomes pretty relevant. -3, deal damage to target creature equal to the number of mountains you control. So if that is 3 damage, we've seen this before and that's not too good, but it is just to creatures as well, so no, not too good, but playable. Mostly because it's a +2 and that makes him stay on the battlefield more, but just playable then. -7, which you need 3 turns for. You get an emblem with whenever a mountain enters, deal 4 damage to any target. And that is very strong, but you will probably not get to that, because there's no protection on Koth. Off the hammer though, 4 mana on tap target mountain, it becomes a 4/4. It's still a land. For 4 mana, making a 4/4, that's pretty good. Okay. I would say very playable. Add red mana to your mana pool for each mountain you control. In mono red, I think this is a conditional bomb because that's because of the flexibility and because you could get a lot of them, a lot of extra mana because of this. -5 is the 3-turn ultimate. You get an emblem with mountains you control may tap for 1 damage. Takes a while, but that's okay. Okay. Onto the Lilianas, which are very popular, so sorry if I hate on some of them, but there are just a lot, so they can't all be the best. Okay, let's start with the Death Mage. I think I know how this goes, like this or something, probably. 6 mana core set card. For loyalty, return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. That's worth 4 or 5 mana. So not playable there. -3, destroy a creature. Its controller loses 2 life. That's also not too good, and you won't get to the ultimate. Death's Majesty, 5 mana. +1, create a zombie. Mill 2 cards. That's both something that you want to do. For 5 mana though, playable. Because it's protection, but not anything else. -3 is return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it's a black zombie. To the battlefield for 5, that's very playable. It's a synergy. For 5, you have better options. But I think that makes it synergy actually, because it's still a Planeswalker that then still has to loyalty, and you can then maybe keep creating zombies. So I think that's synergy. 7 mana Liliana, Death Wielder. Put a -1 counter on a creature. That's like 2 mana. Destroy target creature with a -1 counter on it. That takes 2 turns, so that's not too good either. But in a -1 deck, maybe. Worth 3 mana. And -10, you won't get to that. So no, just sauce. I'm sorry. Where is she? Did she hide from me? No, she's here, right? Is that true? No, not a hand up. Where is this one? Do we even have it here? Did we just put... Yeah, that's just sauce, but what's the other one then? Oh, that is this one. So that's also just sauce, but a little bit more just sauce. Dreadhorde General. I like this one in standard. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. So in the sacrifice decks, I think that's already a synergy piece. Because it might help you go infinite for 6 mana. That's okay. If you win the game with that, that's okay. +1, create a zombie. That's protection. That's okay. On top of the extra ability, this also might draw you an extra card. -4, each player sacrifices 2 creatures. In the Turgor deck, that for example is also synergy. So it's at least the synergy still. Is it a conditional bomb though? Yes, it's a conditional bomb, I think, because of the static ability. Is it a definite bomb? No, it's just, I think it's just a bomb in the sacrifice decks where you can immediately sacrifice all your creatures and then you draw infinite cards. I think it's a bomb, but otherwise no. -9, which is feasible actually. 4 turns after the 6, but in a slow format it would be. Each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifice the rest. And you don't, so that is a game-winning one. So it also needs to be removed soon. Okay. Dark Realms. 4 mana, search your library for a swamp, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So, Koth. Target creature gets +X or -X until end of turn, where X is the number of swamps you control. So that's removal, but that's on 4 mana, so it makes her very playable, I think. -6 is you get an emblem with swamps you control, tap for 4 black mana. That's really good. But you won't get to that again, I think. But it's very playable because of the getting cards in your hand if you are mono black. And it was a core set Planeswalker, so that is really good. Off the Veil, 3 mana, each player discards a card. I have seen people really drool over this card, but I'm undivided, let's say that. But that is for 3 mana pretty playable. Target player sacrifices a creature. That's also just worth 3 mana, to be honest. So I think that's just keeps red playable. -6, you won't get to that. So I will just say playable. And I know that people have been saying that she is the best and stuff. Okay, maybe in Turgid, because then you get a card, she becomes very playable in that deck. And just because of the hype about her, I won't put her lower. It's just like I did with Jace, because I think... So no, I think we should put... No, we shouldn't simp here. It's playable. The Last Hope, 3 mana, +1, give a creature -2, -1. That's really bad. So sauce for that. Mill 2 cards, then you may return a creature card from the graveyard to your hand. That's like 2, I think, mana. You get an emblem with at the beginning of your end step. You won't get to that, but create zombies for 2 plus the number of zombies you control. So at least 2, and then you double them every time. That's pretty fun though, but it's just sauce. Liliana there are some formats that are like screaming right now because, oh, you haven't seen this and this in this deck. I feel like it could be stronger, but no. Doesn't feel that way to me. 5 mana Liliana the Necromancer. Target player loses 2 life. Return target creature card to your hand from the graveyard. Destroy up to 2 target creatures, you won't even get to there. So just sauce. Untouched by Death. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard if at least one of them is a zombie. Drain 2. Milling 3 is like half a mana. Target creature gets -X, where X is the number of zombies. So the -X toughness could be make this a removal, which is like 3 mana. No. -3 though, you may cast zombie cards from your graveyard this turn. If you can keep her around for that turn and you -3 then, that is a lot of value. I think this will put her up to playable, but I wouldn't... Yes, you should remove her soon. I think this is a goat ability again, to be honest. And it's a core set. That's really, really impressive. Just a Fez, 5 mana to make your opponent discard a card. Again, it's like 2 mana. Search your library for a card, then shuffle your library, then put it on top. That's 1 mana, I know, but that's really good. So I think must remove soon. You have to attack this. Otherwise, they will do this twice, and then it becomes very much worth it. -8, you will never get to that, but put all creature cards from all graveyard onto the battlefield is a cool bomb to have. But you will never do that. Liliana, Waker of the Dead, 4 mana, each player discards a card. Each opponent who can't loses 3 life. That's again like 1 or 2 mana. But that's fine, it's a +1. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. Target creature gets... Let's say it's a removal, that's 3 mana, so that is fine here. It's on cost. So that's playable. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It gains haste. You will never get to that, but that sounds on an okay level fun. Okay. Loth, the Spider Queen. Whenever a creature you control dies, you put a loyalty counter on her. And the fun thing about that is that you can immediately ultimate her in some decks. So I think that is immediately moving toward a bomb. You get an emblem with, whenever an opponent is dealt combat damage by 1 or more creatures you control, if the player lost less than 8 life this turn, they lose life equal to the difference. Okay, so you attack them with your little spiders, and then you deal 2, and then eventually it becomes 8 at most. So, sure, I can put this at at conditional bomb, I think, but very conditional. So, Lord Windgrace can be commander, so probably synergy. But let's read it. Discard a card, then draw a card for 5 mana. If a land card is discarded, draw an additional card. Discard, then draw. And maybe draw again. Okay. +2, discard, then draw 2. Is 4 mana, I think. 3 or 4. But you want to discard cards in this deck. So return up to 2 target lands from your graveyard to the battlefield. Is worth 4 mana as well. And this ability costs 3 mana. Okay, so that's good. That's very playable, at least. And as a synergy piece, you're probably like landfall or something. That makes this very good. I guess synergy, yes. -11, destroy up to 6 non-land permanents, then create 6 2/2s with Forest Walk. So good against your forested opponents, but you will never get to that. It's like my stopping sentence. Let's move on with these. Good soup. Lucas. Okay, we got a new one here as well. Completed. So either 4 or 5 mana, and if you pay 4, he answers with 3 loyalties. Otherwise, it's 5. The flavor for this, by the way, which is pretty fun, is that if they aren't completed fully, they become less loyal to you, or they become more loyal if they are more completed. But 4 mana, let's say, 3 loyalty, add 2 mana, spend is only to cast creature spells. If you can keep him around, that becomes ramp, and then that is very impressive. 2 mana, 4/4. Yeah, that's really impressive, okay. Create a 3/3 beast with Toxic 1. That's protection, I guess, as well. So maybe you enter him, you -1 to make it 3/3 with Toxic. And then you can probably survive with him. So I think this makes him very playable. In all decks. With creatures in Gruul. Probably all Gruul decks, I guess. -4, which you might immediately do at 5 mana. Deal X damage divided as you choose among any number of creatures and or planeswalkers where X is the greatest power among creatures you control as you activated this ability. When is that worth it for 5? 5 mana. 6? 6 maybe? 6, maybe 7 even? Yeah. Yes, 7, I would say. If you have a 7/7 out, that is really good. But still, it makes him very playable, I think. Luca, Coppercoat, Outcast, 5 mana, 5 loyalty, +1, exile the top 3 cards of your library. Creatures exiled this way gain, you may cast them. As long as you have a Luca Planeswalker, could be the new one. -2 to exile target creature you control. It would be weird if this was the only Luca Planeswalker. So they had to continue. But -2 to exile target creature you control. Then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card with higher converted mana cost. Put it onto the battlefield. So you evolve them. I think this is a conditional bomb, to be honest, because it could be a tutor in a weird way that immediately puts your creature onto the battlefield. If you have like, let's say you only put 4 mana creatures in your deck, and then 1 12 mana could win you the game. So, yeah, conditional bomb. Minsk and Boo, Timeless Heroes, 4 mana. Can be your commander, so let's move it preemptively to the synergy piece. When they enter the battlefield and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may create Boo, a 1/1. Okay, 4 mana 1/1 with trample and haste. Yeah, I guess that's synergy in the deck where you are like a Voltron with your Boo. +1, put 3, +1 counts up to 1 target creature with trample or haste. So he enters at sorcery speed, you get a 4/4 immediately for 4. Then you can probably imagine a lot of other things you can do with a trample haste creature. -2, sacrifice a creature to fling it, I think. Deal X damage to any target, where X is its power. If it was a hamster, draw X cards. So in 2 turns then you get to draw at least 4, but probably like 8. So that is a must remove soon as well. But it is a synergy piece, I think, because it works in that type of Voltron deck, and the drawing of a card is cool. I think there aren't any more hamsters. Let's look this up, actually. I think type line, right? So hamster. Are there more hamsters? Is my question. No. Just 1, and it is Boo. Okay, that's a shame. There are not more hamsters in Magic the Gathering than just Boo. Okay. But we have put them down there. Mordenkainen. 6 mana, draw 2 cards. 6 mana, draw 2 cards. Not good yet. Then put a card from your hand on the bottom of your library. That's worse. -2, create a dog illusion with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to twice the number of cards in your hand. 6 mana, 6/6. Fine. Playable, I think. But very... Like, I'm saying 6/6 because in some decks it will be bigger, but in most decks it will be smaller. So let's say 5/5. 6 mana, 5/5, playable. No, but 6 mana, 6/6, yes. So sometimes playable. -10 though, exchange your hand and library, then shuffle, you get an emblem with you have no maximum hand size. That wins you the game, at least. But you have to keep +2ing him. You need a lot of control to make this stronger than playable. I don't think he is. Mu Yanling. 6 mana, target creature can't be blocked this turn. That's like worth 2 to me, to be honest. -3, draw 2 cards. No, that's 4. But that's 4 mana, it's 6, and it takes 3 away of the 5 loyalty. No, that's still not on par. That's not even on par, so that is not good. -10, you will never get to there, let's say. That. Okay, Mu Yanling, Celestial Wind though. 6 mana, until end of your next turn, a creature gets -5 power. A bit of protection, but 6 mana, a bit too high for this kind of protection. -3, return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hand. That's like 2 mana, maybe 4. But probably 2. -7. It's a finisher in a flying deck, but you will not very easily get to there. Is it must remove soon in that deck? Yeah. In 3 turns though. Not too soon, to be honest. Sky Dancer, there are 3 of her. Wow, more than Luca. 3 mana. Until your next turn, up to 1 target creature gets -2, -0 and loses flying. Okay, that's potent protection for 3 mana. I think that makes her playable already, to be honest. -3, create a 4/4. So yeah, that makes her just playable. Because that's worth 5 mana, and if you can do that on turn 4, that's pretty on par. -8, you get an emblem with islands you control, have to tap to draw a card. Okay, so that's a game-winning thing, but you won't get to there. Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, so getting into the Nahiris. I think they are all together here, and we have a lot to go. I think this will need 1 more, and then today we'll go up to the, let's say, maybe the end of the Saurins. So you can see there, we won't get to the Teferis or Tezzerets today. And not the Frescas. I think that those are the important ones. But yeah, so end of the Saurin here. I will call this out. 4 mana, create a 1/1, you may attach an equipment to it. That's pretty strong. Yeah, sure. I think that's worth 4 mana, so that makes her, I think, very playable in that deck. -2, look at the top 6. You may reveal a warrior or equipment from among them and put it into your hand. That's a good -2, I would say. -3, deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to twice the number of equipment you control. So removal is okay, still. So very playable because of the flexibility. Nahiri, Storm of Stone, 4 mana, 6 loyalty. As long as it's your turn, creatures you control have first strike, and equip abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate. Creatures you control have first strike for 4 mana. That's a sort of emblem. I think that's playable. -X deals X damage to target tapped creature. Still playable. No, doesn't make her very playable. Nahiri, the Harbinger, right? Binger? It's like finger, or is it like binge watcher? I don't know. But 4 mana, discard, draw. On a +2, that's okay. That's okay. That's playable, I think. 4 mana, -2, exile target enchantment, tapped artifact, or tapped creature is like 1 or 2. So that's not really good. And the -8, you probably won't get to there. Search for an artifact or creature card, put it into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Okay, so that's a game winner, but no, not so definite. Also return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. No, that's not at all. No. Can be your commander. Interesting. 5 mana, put a 1/1. You may attach an equipment to it. I think that becomes a synergy piece because she is a commander then. Yeah. -2, you may put an equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. Okay, that's, I mean, make her enter, -2, put a very important equipment back. And then if she survives, you get to put it on a 1/1. Yeah, sure. Put a colorless equipment artifact token named Stoneforge Blade. Interesting. Onto the battlefield. It has indestructible. Equipped creature gets +5/+5 and has double strike and equip 0. You will never get to there. I have way too much fun with explaining these fun things you could do, but you will never. That's so evil though. I shouldn't think that's fun. Nahiri, the Unforgiving, 4 mana and completed, so difficult to give a number, but until your next turn, up to 1 target creature attacks a player each combat if able. So goad 1 creature. Each combat? Okay, sure. Discard a card, draw a card for 3 mana. Not too good, honestly. But as it's a plus, I think that makes it a bit more fine. But because of the last one, I think that makes it very playable. So 0, exile target creature or equipment card with mana value less than Nihiri's Loyalty from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it. So it's immediately onto the battlefield. And for 4 mana, if you can do that with a 5/1, that's already pretty good. And then it gains haste, which is for the creature, of course. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. I think that makes it very playable. Could you win with a 5 mana card on turn 4? No, not immediately. Is it considered synergy? Do you have to exile it? Yeah. No, that's not synergy, I think. It would be synergy if it wasn't the exile, but it isn't. It would be maybe too strong. Narsets. Of which I think we have 3. Of the Ancient Way, 4 mana, gain to life, add a mana to cast a non-creature spell. Fine. No, doesn't make her playable yet, I think. -2, draw a card, then discard. When you discard a non-land, she deals damage to that card's converted mana cost to a creature. So that's removal. That's worth 3. So that's okayably playable, maybe. -6, you get an Emblem in 3 turns. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this deals 2 damage to any target. So that is in the future removal of a player, but not very playable because of it, I think. But in the right deck, it is playable. Narset, Barter of Veils, with a very... Oh, what did I do? Oh, sorry. I took the wrong card there. Each opponent can draw more than 1 card each turn, makes this very good in most formats. Definitely if you are like a wheel deck, then that makes it a conditional bomb. Everyone wants to draw multiple cards though. Does that make her a definite bomb? I think this is up for discussion, but I think it actually does already make her a definite bomb. And that's just that part. But then also look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. That is just extra sauce. I think that each opponent can draw more than 1 card each turn. It makes her a conditional bomb. But it's a very good stack piece in every other deck. And I think that makes her a definite bomb. Yeah. In some formats, okay, but I won't put a condition on the formats, no. Narset Transcendent, 4 mana, +1, look at the top card of your library. If it's a non-creature, non-land, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. So, I'm thinking about the Elsha of the Infinite deck, where you can always look at the top of your library and you have a lot of these non-creature, non-lands. And you want to fix the top of your library anyways in the deck. I think there it becomes very playable already. Okay. Then -2, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell from your hand this turn, it gains rebound. So you may play it again at the... It's a sort of doubler, but it takes a turn. I think that's a synergy piece. -9, which is hard to get. You get an emblem with your opponents can't cast non-creature spells. That is backbreaking stacks there. But you won't get to there. Okay, Nicol Bolas's, which seems like my level of evil at this moment. So let's enjoy that. But where is the yo-here? 5 mana works with all of these Planeswalkers. It's a little bit hard for me to think about this right now because of all the Planeswalkers we are talking about. So this seems very good to me, but it's only for the Planeswalker decks. Then he gets all the abilities from all the other Planeswalkers on the battlefield. Also from your opponents, but they won't play Planeswalkers. So don't expect too much from that. Would be fun though, would be very evil. The +1 for him, draw a card, each opponent exiles a card from their hand or a permanent they control. That's like the Nicopolis thing, where your opponents have to choose between two things they don't like. -3, destroy a creature. For 5, that's not very good. But again, you really want it for the static ability, I think, of having all the abilities from your Planeswalkers. And then it might become something where you +4 him from the Karn ability or something. Then use an ultimate from another Planeswalker. Each opponent who doesn't control a legendary creature or Planeswalker loses the game. Okay, so that is a bomb in there. The thing is, with the Karn thing, you can pretty easily get to that ultimate, which would make him at least a must remove soon. Is it a synergy piece? Yes, in the Planeswalker deck, it is actually, but not because of the ultimate. Okay, interesting. I will place him there. Nicopolis, God Pharaoh. Very expensive, 7 mana, so should win you the game right away, I think. And what does he do right away? -4, deal 7 damage to target opponent creature and opponent controls, or Planeswalker. So like removal or 7 damage to a face is almost winning you the game, but it is just a burn spell. +1 each opponent, and like for 8 mana you can do the same with just a spell. But still you get to keep a Planeswalker with that. Okay, so very playable, I would say, because of that. But not winning you the game. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. Until the end of your turn, you may cast that without paying its mana cost. So like Cascade, but only from your opponents. Is there like a steel deck that is a synergy piece in? I don't think so. But I would like to see it. Maybe we should make it. Try to make it. I don't know in what format though. But okay. Each opponent exiles 2 cards from their hand. Sure. -12, exile each non-land permanent your opponents control. Non-land. Okay, should win you the game, but a lot of cost and you will never get there. His name is just Planeswalker here. +3 to destroy a permanent for 8 mana. No, just sauce. -2, gain control of target creature. I know a card that at that cost, that is just blue, that does that for all your opponents. -9, deal 7 to target player. They discard 7 cards. Then okay, that's mean, but you will never get there. Honestly, just sauce. The Deceiver is 8 mana again. It's hard to please me with those kinds of cards. Each opponent loses 3 life unless the player sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card. +3 though, so that's a lot of pluses. -3, destroy a creature, draw a card. Honestly, not yet something. And -11, deal 7 damage to each opponent, you draw 7 cards. That will win you the game, but you will never get there. Nico, is this the only one? I guess so. 3 mana and then X enters the battlefield, create X shard tokens, and he enters. They, I think, by the way, sorry. And they enter with X shard tokens and 3 loyalty counters. +1, up to 1 target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Okay, unblockable. But we have seen that on way more on a 4 cost, and then it was a minus. So I think that's pretty good. I think that makes them playable. -1, deal 2 damage to target tapped creature for each card you've drawn this turn. So like if it's a -4, that's like a removal. For 3, that's pretty good. -1, create a shard token, and we should look at what that does there. And enchantments with 2, sacrifice them to scry 1, then draw a card. So better clues, basically. I think in an artifact deck, they become a very potent synergy piece. I think that's fair. Nissa, Ascendant Animist, has 2 loyalty count, or like loyalty counts, 7, but 2 complete mana, which I think means in the flavor that she was very hard to complete. +1, create an XX Phyrexian Horror, where X is Nissa, Ascendant Animist loyalty. So 7 mana make a 7/7. I guess that's on curve. So at that point, that just makes her playable, but you have 2 more choices, which would be 5 mana, or like, no, so it's 7 mana 7/7, it's 6 mana 5/5, which is not good, or it's 5 mana 3/3, which is definitely not good. Oh wait, it's different. It's 8. Okay, wait. So it's, no, I'm doing this wrong. So it's 7 mana 8/8, because it's the X is the loyalty, so it gets a +1, then it becomes an 8/8. 7 mana 8/8 is more than on curve. And then the other options are 6 mana 6/6, which is still pretty okay. So there's flexibility here, and I think that puts her at very playable. And 5 mana is not good again. 5 mana 4/4 is not what you want. Then -1, destroy target artifact or enchantment is not very good, I think, on 5 mana if she enters with 3 loyalties. That would mean that would cost you 1.5 mana or something. No, it's not really cool. But 7 mana until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 for each creature you control and gain trample is a finisher. 7 mana though to do this. But still, it's like a great overrun, I think. It's like a Cradle of Behemoth type of effect where, yes, in some cases it could be a bomb. But probably in mono green. So you already have the Behemoth. Nissa Genesis Mage, 7 mana, untap 2 target creatures and up to 2 target lands. 7 mana though. On 4 mana I would call that a bomb. On 7 mana, playable. -3, target creature gets +5/+5. On 7 mana, no. -10, look at the top 10 cards of your library. You may put any number of creature and or land cards from among them onto the battlefield. You will never get there. But that's pretty cool. 6 mana, 5 loyalty, +3, gain 3 life. Okay, it's just that it's a +3, I think. -4, reveal the top 2 cards of your library, put all lands from among them onto the battlefield. So if you have a lot of scrying, you won't have a lot of crying. No, but that's just 4 mana. No, that's just Saw still. -5, 12. That takes you 4 turns. Creatures you control get +5/+5 and trample. No. Of Shadowed Bowls. Of Bowls. Bowls. I think I will call it that, but I don't think that's the case. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, put a loyalty counter on there. Okay, so if you just have 1 land after this, that's an immediately -5. You may put a creature card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control onto the battlefield from your hand or graveyard with 2 +1 counters on it. I think because there are cards that let you play 2 cards per turn and then you still have her, this makes her a synergy piece. Yeah, because you get the recursion. She goes to 1 loyalty. The next turn maybe, if you have like a very tuned landfall deck. You get to put in total in the turn 3 loyalty count on her again. She's back at 4. Just another turn you get to do this again. It is also something that needs to be removed soon, but it's a synergy piece, I think, because if you have that extra land, if you have those many lands, and you love that recursion, then 4 mana is a great price to pay for that. Turn 5 is when you basically want to do your recursion, I think. Turn 5, turn 4. Untap target land you control, you may have it become a 3/3. It's not bad, I think, for the untapping, but losing a land is a bit of a drawback as well. But the 3/3 isn't bad either. Oh, but you don't have to make the 3/3. Yeah, I think that's just extra stuff. And actually, I put this one as a bomb. I think this even makes Nissa a conditional bomb. Yeah, because of the untapping is pretty good, and it could make you a lot of mana. Big creature tribal with a lot of mill, with a lot of lands. I would say graveyard tribal maybe, which is very easy in Golgari. Yeah, then she becomes very good. Just a Ravane, we have seen these, but these weren't too good, to be honest, up to this point, so my expectations are non-existent. Where? Oh. So, 4 mana, Nissa's Chosen. I don't know what it is. Seems to be from a battle deck, and I don't trust these. Nissa's Chosen. If they die, put it on the bottom of its owner's library instead. Okay, so you can keep making 2/3s eventually. For 4 mana, not too good. Gain 2 life for each elf you control, could be a lot of life, but it's not too much. -7 search your library for any number of elf creature cards. Okay, but you will never get there, so sauce. Steward of Elements, very good one, I think. Because for 8 mana you can create 2 5/5s with flying. Which is basically what you want to use her for, I think. Almost all of the time. The other pieces are synergy too, though, with herself. Because she is an ex-Planeswalker, meaning that you can play her with 3 mana. She comes in with 1 loyalty. You +2 her, you scry 2. You put something you want next turn on top of your library. Then you put a 3 mana card on the next part of your library. You use the 0 ability next turn, and then you play a 3 mana card for free. And that is a very good play pattern. Then the other option I think for her is, so that is a draw a card, but play the card from the top of your library, which is very strong. So 3 mana, eventually you get to scry a bit and make sure that you get a very good card for free from the top, or you keep scrying and maybe eventually you get a 5 or 7 mana card from the top. So could be very good eventually, and definitely is a goader there. Which is, I think, up to that point, it just makes her a must remove soon. But you can also use her to get in for the last 10 damage. But is that a bomb? 10 damage for 8 is not really a bomb. It's in some decks very good, and it's a good class, but I think you basically want to be able to play her for the must remove soon part. Then it's value. And usually what I get to do with her is just +2 a lot and keep scrying too, which is also very good. Nissa Vital Voice, Force. 5 mana on tap. Oh, I see. 5 5 mana, untap target land you control until your next turn. It becomes a 5/5 with haste. 5 mana, 5/5 for a turn. Playable. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. I think you want to make her enter, +1 her, and then emblem. You get an emblem with whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card, which is very good. Which is, I think, a synergy piece in a landfall deck. Nah, it's more a must remove soon in a landfall deck. Yeah, because it's not really the synergy piece where she right away helps you that much. So, Voice of Zendikar, 3 mana, put a plant onto the battlefield. Sad. 2 mana, put a +1 counter on each creature you control. 4/3. Playable, but not too good. It's like the Voice of Zendikar, you know? But then you already need the creatures. The Voice of Zendikar is so good because it comes down with the creatures. -7, if you keep creating plants, that is. You gain X life and draw X cards where X is the number of lands you control. So let's say draw 5. That's not game winning. No. You want to play her in a deck that ramps a lot. So let's say draw 8. That's very good, but and should win you the game though. But you will never get there. Nissa Shakes the World. I think we all know this one. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, add an additional forest. In green decks, yes, that's a condition. I think this is a definite bomb. Because of the doubling. It's like Mirari's Wake. It's a bomb, you have to remove it. And if you have more, like if you have 7 mana, you can immediately play a 4 mana thing after that. With the untapping stuff, this is really strong. But +1, put 3, +1 counts on up to 1 target non-creature land you control. And you untap it, so that is immediately 2 extra mana. If you had the 2 mana, now you have 6. -8, which is very feasible because you keep +1ing and you keep making 3/3s. You get an emblem with lands you control have indestructible, which could be very important because you made all those 3/3s. But search your library for any number of forest cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library is a very good effect that ramps you into infinity with Nissa out and otherwise still pretty hard. So yeah, definite bomb, I would say there. World Raker. Target land you control becomes a 4/4 with trample. 5 mana 4/4 with trample is not playable yet. Untap up to 4 target forests, though for 5, 4 forests. Very playable, but there's diminishing return after the first untapping. The 1 untapping can give you 12 mana, the 4 untapping can make you 16, and that's not too much of a difference. 15. Or maybe, indeed, like 15, 16. I don't know. Very specific situations. It could make more. Like with the doubling. But no, usually no. Still very playable though, because that is pretty good. -7 might be. The good thing here, I think, is mostly if you have one doubler, she's basically free. That's why I think she's very playable. But she doesn't protect herself really. Yeah, with the 4/4s maybe, but you don't really want to use that clause right away. -7, search your library for any number of basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. I think it's a must remove soon. Because of all the lands and they become 4/4s with trample, that is a game winner. Might be just an ultimate deck. No, that's not true. But might be a must remove soon because of the fact that she eventually will keep protecting herself, might immediately make herself basically free, and then win you the game. Yeah, sure. Eventually, after 5 turns. But still, you must remove her soon. It's inevitability. Ob Nixilis when he was a human, sort of. 5 mana, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain life equal to the life lost this way, so gain 3, but losing life is way worse. -2, put up 5/5 with flying, and you lose 2 life. For 5 mana, I think that makes him very playable, but it's not really synergy or winning you the game. -8, which will take you 2, 3, 4 turns. You get an emblem with 2 mana, sacrifice a creature, you gain X life, and draw X cards, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. Pretty easily lets you go infinite. But doesn't protect himself, so not remove soon. Must remove soon. No, it's just very playable because of the 5/5, I think. Can be your commander. Why would you want him to be your commander? I don't see that. If you have him, please explain. Reignited, 5 mana, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Which is pretty good, but I think most people use him for the destroy target creature. I say that's playable because that is the price of a murder. And then you keep having a card that might draw you cards afterwards. Yeah. -8, target opponent gets an emblem with whenever a player draws a card, you lose 2 life. Yeah, that will win you the game, I guess. But so maybe you want to play him, keep drawing cards, and it becomes inevitability. I guess for that, it isn't really much removes him because it takes 4 turns, honestly. But maybe we put him in just an ultimate. It's just a threat of the ultimate. Yeah. Up next is the adversary, because you don't really want to pay 5 mana for drawing 2 cards. That would be a real feel bad, because that could have just cost you 2 in black. Up next is the adversary, casualty X. The copy isn't legendary and has starting loyalty X, where X is the power of the creature you sacrificed. So sacrifice a 7 power creature and you may draw 7 cards and lose 2 life for 3 mana. There are, that I think it's a synergy with 7 power tribal. With big power tribal. Maybe a tribal that hurts you really bad, you know? Then it could be that you draw 7 and lose 7 life, but draw 7, which should win you the game. Yeah. And then as well, you have a 3/3 or a Planeswalker that has 3 loyalty. With each opponent loses 2 life unless you take this. So let's put him there. Synergy, I think. Yeah. And then -2, you may create a devil that deals 1 damage when they die. Is that 1 mana or 1.5? But in any way, that's not really the thing you play him for. Each opponent loses 2 life unless they discard a card. If you control a devil, which you could make with him, gain 2 life. Sure. So create a devil, later get the life back. I guess that's fine, but I think you usually want to play that +1 for the lose to life thing. Not too good. I think it's mostly about the casualty, where you have to discard a 7, and then for 3 mana, 7 powered creature, which has a curse on it or something, they could cost you 3 mana, for example. The one that let me look him up. I know he exists. Regisaur, I think. Yeah, this one. So, for example, you have the Regisaur, you pay him for 3, and then next turn you get to draw 7. that costs you 2 cards, but I think that is very much worth it. So yeah, I think that makes the guy very strong in the power. I think there's a Rakdos commander out there for big power creatures. So there it becomes synergy, right? Yeah, synergy. Okay, new Obnixilis. Here, he's not new, he's new for us right now. Whenever an opponent draws a card, he deals 1 damage to the player. Sure, but 5 mana, I think that's worth like 3. As a static ability. -2, destroy a creature, its controller draws 2 cards. And gets dealt a damage. Maybe that's actually synergy nowadays. With Shieldred, who deals 2 damage per card. If you have her out, if you have Obnixilis out, that's 6 damage. Yeah, I think this has become synergy. But I haven't seen it yet. But might have become synergy. With a question mark, but still. Oko, the Trickster. 6 mana, put 2 plus... Where are we going? Put 2 +1 counters on up to 1 target creature. 6 mana, not worth it. I think if you do that 4 times, it's not worth it. 0, though, until end of turn, he becomes a copy of target creature you control. For 6 mana, prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn. It's flexible cloning. But I do find it really weird. 6 mana clone? That is like 3. And the preventing of damage isn't really that big of a thing. Huh? I think you want to play him, keep +1ing, and then hope for the -7 until end of turn. Each creature you control has base, power, and toughness 10/10 and gains trample, because that is a finisher. This makes him just an ultimate. And he's 6. You will never get that, but he's just an ultimate. Which I almost want to put this... Whoa, okay. The music just stopped and I was shocked. I almost want to put this under very playable, because just an ultimate isn't really very playable. Yeah, so let's do that. Yeah. Do we agree? Yeah, we all agree. Alright. Okay. Other Oko, though. 3 mana. In some formats, yeah. Yeah, I guess. Mostly because he is a 3 mana Planeswalker that plus wants to be a removal spell for himself, and that is protection as well. This is a definite bomb. Because in any Simic deck, this is just removal. I think that is why he's banned. The +1. Plus, it's a +1, and then you may exchange control of target artifact or creature you control, and target creature an opponent controls with power 3 or less. It seems bad, 3 or less, but the fact that you can do this the turn after, and then steal with a food token from yourself. You can trade it for some of your opponent's commanders, for example, or like their winning game pieces, their, I don't know, blood artists or something that could kill you and might help you win the game. I think that fact just makes this so overpowered in most decks against most opponents. But no, that's not what makes it, but that together with the fact that it is also removal at first, that's pretty insane. I think they thought they were cute with making a 3/3 for your opponent, and then you can steal it for and trade food for a literal 3/3, but that's not what happens. Alright, enough about him. 6 mana, Professor Onyx. Does she win you the game in 2 turns, which is what I want for my 6 manas. Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant, drain each opponent for 2. You gain just 2 life. Yeah, in a combo deck. Yeah, combo decks don't really want this, do they? Playable for that. +1 though. You lose a life, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So that's draw. And maybe that makes her very playable. But that's a lot of mana and you need a specific deck for her. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. Okay. Yeah, I think that keeps her at very playable. Each opponent may discard a card if it, and you will never get to that. Discard 6 cards isn't even winning you the game, to be honest. And they can choose to lose life. No, that's not the best. Okay. Raw Caller of Storms, 6 mana, draw a card. That's like an insult. Whoever would want to do that. -2. Deal 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures. That's 2 mana. Maybe 3. -7, draw 7 cards, deal 7 damage to each creature. You will never get there. So, no. Did I already? No. I put the wrong one in there, I think. Yeah. 5 mana. I like that more. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. 5 mana, draw 2 is almost playable. If the -3 is good, I will put him in playable because of that. -3, deal damage to target creature equal to the total number of instant and sorceries. So that's removal. For 3 mana, that's again on par. I think that makes him playable. -8, you will never get there, but you get an emblem with whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this emblem deals 4 damage to any target, and you draw 2 cards. Does that win you the game? Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell. Yeah. Yeah, that wins you the game, because you immediately storm off, so just an ultimate. I like that we move that around. Alright. Storm Conduit. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, he deals 1 damage to target opponent or Planeswalker. As a static on 4 mana. This is worth 2. But then you also get to scry 1 every turn. Okay, but the other thing is you can cast your next instant or sorcery twice. I'm doubting between, I think it isn't really a synergy piece because there are better forks that are also instants and sorceries. And you really want your instants and sorceries there. So it's not really a synergy piece anymore. But if you can do that twice, does it become a problem for your opponent? That's just value, but it won't be as good as the first time. So very playable. Yeah. In those decks. Ralserac, 4 mana, tap target permanent, then untap another. 4 mana to do the untapping again. But in this deck, in these colors, that isn't always a bomb though. Enchantment synergy, but he doesn't really want that because the other things are deal 3 damage to target creature or player, -2. That is a lightning strike. Yeah. So very playable, I think. Then still. Yeah. -7 you won't get to there. Rowan. Okay, and yeah, I think this should be here too. Rowan. Fearless Spark Mage. 5 mana, up to 1 target creature gets 3 power and first strike. Oh, this was from a battle deck with the other Oko. Ah, I see. Okay. That's why this is really bad. -2, deal 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. Those creatures can't block. Nah. No. Just sauce. Yeah. Rowan Kenrith, though. Partners with Will Kenrith, which I apparently don't have here, but he is also a Planeswalker. During target player's next turn, each creature that player controls attacks each. 6 mana goat isn't really the thing. But if you are built around this, around having your opponents attack you, I think that becomes good. Because this can be your commander. And because it partners with, yeah, I think that becomes a synergy piece with coding. Yeah, I'll explain more later, but okay, -2, deal 3 damage to each target, each tapped creature target player controls. So if you can make sure that they attack, then you make them keep them tapped for some reason. Then this can become a small board wipe, and that is very strong. Sequence of events. Target player gets an emblem with whenever you activate an ability that isn't a mana ability. Plus, you might want to keep plussing her, which is, I think, the point here. But target player gets an emblem with whenever you activate an ability that isn't a mana ability, could be Planeswalker abilities, copy it. So that then the -2 becomes 6, and that is a very detrimental amount of damage. And you may choose new targets for the copy, and you probably have other things that you want to use for that. The other part of this is that you can also have Will Kenrith in this deck as a partner commander, which says, until your next turn, up to 2 target creatures each have base power and toughness 0/3 and lose all abilities. That is very good protection, I would say. And where did we put them? Huh? Oh, here. yeah, I agree still. Target player draws 2 cards until your next turn. Instant, sorcery, and planeswalker spells that player casts cost 2 less to cast. Target player draws 2 cards, so you draw 2 cards. Until your next turn, instant, sorcery, and planeswalker spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. That's a lot of discount. And if you have him on the battlefield and you make all your instants and sorceries 2 less to cast, it's so weird that they don't really synergize with each other though. I think the synergy is that you can make them their creatures 0/3s without abilities, and then they have to attack. That is a sort of removal, I guess. But -8, target player gets an emblem with whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, copy it, you may choose new targets for the copy. So a lot of copying, but you might never get to that, but it's a +2, it just takes you 3 turns, and with 2 planeswalkers on the battlefield where you get to control battle, you might pull this off. As it's a commander deck as well, I guess it's why it really becomes a synergy piece. Let's get him out of here. Just kidding, we have a new one. Rowan, Scholar of Sparks. Instants and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. That is great. Very playable for that, I would say. She deals 1 damage to each opponent. If you've drawn the card 3 or more cards, deal 3 damage to each opponent instead. Pretty good. Not really synergy though. -4, you get an emblem with whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may pay 2. If you do copy the spell, that is very good. And it isn't that hard to get there, because giving spells, instant and sorceries, a discount can be a sort of protection as well in some decks. I think what makes this very playable though is you also have another side that says the same. So I guess if you are in a format where you can play multiples of these, then well, eventually you might have 2 on the battlefield where your instant sorceries cost 2 less. He +1s to freeze a creature, give them 0, make them 0/2s without. No, make them 0/2s. -3 to draw 3 cards is fine. I think that is on cost as well. Because 5 mana again, -3 from 4 means that this is like a 3.5 cost draw 2. That's fine. -7 exile up to 5 target permanents. I don't think you will get there though. For each permanent exiled, its controller creates a 4/4 as well. Huh? It plays with your. I don't even know if you want to do that. Usually you don't. Saheeli. I think there are a lot of Saheelis. Oh no, it's not that many. Actually, is she pretty new? Maybe. Yeah, I don't see more. So artifacts we have to think about. 4 mana, scry 1. You may tap an untapped artifact you control to draw a card. Scry 1, draw 1 on 4 mana. Yeah, that's about 2 mana, I would say. So on a plus, that's fine. Create 2 Thopters. They gain haste. Could be really good. I mean, there are some really good Thopter decks. Just very playable though, because drawing cards doesn't win you. It eventually wins you the game. I mean, it's part of your strategy, but it isn't the bomb. It isn't the finisher, but very playable in those decks. You get an emblem with artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. Okay. And artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. I think that is the point here. That makes this pretty good. That in 2 turns, you can make an emblem that makes your artifacts 1 less to cast. I've seen many people remove Foundry Inspectors, things that have these abilities immediately. So yeah, sure. It is a very good code. Because after Saheeli does her ultimate thing, you can't remove the emblem, basically. I don't think there is a way to remove emblems yet. Yeah, remove the player. Saheeli Rai, just that. 3 mana, scry 1, deal 1 damage to each opponent. Not good yet. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control. That is very good. Except, it's an artifact in addition. Okay, that's good. Okay. 3 mana, that's on par. That's very playable, I would say. It gains haste, but you have to exile it. Okay. Playable. -7, you will never get there, but search your library for up to... Sorry. 3 artifact cards with different names. Put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Yeah, we'll win you the game, but you will not get there. 3 mana, Saheeli Sublime Artificer. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 artifact creature token. That's a very playable static ability, actually, and I think that is even a synergy piece, because that could win you the game. It is a synergy piece because... Where did I put it? Huh? Wait. Did I put it back? Yeah. Huh? What did I put here then? Oh, I put... No. Huh? Oh, it's the next one. Oh, sorry. Alright. No, but so... target artifact you control becomes a copy of target artifact or creature you control until end of turn. Oh, so yeah, you play a non-creature, and then you can make a copy anyways. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, definitely a synergy piece then. Yeah, you can copy big artifacts or creatures for a turn, and you keep creating 1/1s. I think that is basically the thing why I'm saying it's a synergy piece, because you can probably make infinite 1/1s, in a way. 4 mana, create a 1/1 as a plus is a bit of protection, and in some decks that is good protection, so I would say already very playable. Another +1, the next... Oh, can be your commander. The next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control as you cast it. Ooh, yeah, that, I think, in an Eldrazi deck or something, becomes a conditional bomb. But you need a lot of artifacts, but those are not too hard to make. Okay, for each artifact you control, create a token that's a copy of it. I mean, you keep plussing, you create big creatures, you have a lot of artifacts out, and then you might, in 4 turns, -7 with this, actually, because of the protection. For each artifact you control, create a token that's a copy of it, and you will want to have this as a big artifact deck that also makes a lot of power stones or something. But the tokens gain haste. Exile the tokens at the beginning of the next end step. Yeah, but I think this will win you the game here. Or it will be a very big swing. I think the best thing about this is the +1 that reduces the cost for all of your artifacts. Samut. Shouldn't there be one more? Let's look that up. I think so. Oh, because there's a creature one. Yeah, I told this before in the previous one. But I didn't think about the creature Planeswalkers. So we have to think about that ourselves. So let's start with... Oh no, it's not a Planeswalker. Oh, okay, this one isn't. I had it in my head, but there are 3 Samut cards, but she wasn't a Planeswalker before. Okay, so starting with this one. 4 mana, +2 up to what target creature gains double strike. I said before that double strike can be very potent, so I think that is playable. For 4 mana, it's not too steep, and then it's a plus. So Samut deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 target creatures. It is an aggressive card, so she doesn't protect herself. I think you play this only for the double strike. So, is it really very playable? Did I do this again? Yeah, I did. Okay. Wait. Okay, now I have the good one. The double strike, no, it's not. It's playable, I think, because you can keep plussing. That's okay. But you need to protect yourself still. Search the library for up to 2 creatures or planeswalkers and put them onto the battlefield. That is a very strong effect, though. But you will never get it. Okay. Creatures you control have haste for 4 mana. Isn't so good. Target creature gets +2, +1, and gains haste. It's pretty good to have on the battlefield. But mostly for the haste. Scry 1, yeah, sure. Sauce. Sarkhan, Dragon Soul. Like this and like this. And then the Dragon Soul is here. Yeah. Deal 1 damage to each opponent and each creature your opponents control. Meh. But +2. -3. Deal 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. 6 mana removal isn't so good, and you will not get to the -9 very easily. Sauce. Fireblood. You may discard a card to draw a card for 3. Other +1 is add 2 mana in any combination of colors to cast dragon spells. That is For 3, that is very playable in a dragon deck. Actually. -7, hard to get to create 4 5/5 dragons. That's pretty cool, but we'll not take that into account. 5 mana, until end of turn, he becomes a 4/4 dragon. 5 mana 4/4 though, with flying. In slow decks playable. No, not any eternal formats. Can be removal. Though. That costs you like 3.5. No. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, draw 2 additional cards. Even without the discarding, no. Sarkhan the Mad, 5 mana, reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. Sarkhan deals damage to himself equal to the card's converted mana cost. For 5 mana to draw a card and then he needs to deal damage to himself. Target creature's controller sacrifices it. Then that player puts a 5/5 dragon with flying onto the battlefield. That's not even good removal. A 5/5 dragon, that's pretty okay. -4, you can do this. Each dragon creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target player. I think that is a finisher spell, actually. But the other ones I don't really understand too well. But if you are a dragon dragon deck, that is very playable. Actually. I didn't expect this after the first 2 things. The Masterless. 5 mana, whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, each dragon you control deals 1 damage to that creature. So if you have 12 dragons onto the battlefield, this will protect your planeswalker very well. Until end of turn, each planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 creature, red dragon creature, and gains flying. Is that a finisher in your planeswalker deck? I guess. That's dangerous though. They don't have protection or anything. But -3 to create a 4/4. Okay. I will put this at... Do I want to say this is a finisher? That's so dangerous. And how many planeswalkers would you need? Let's say you would need 10 planeswalkers. That's so conditional, but it is a conditional bomb. I mean... Synergy piece. Yeah, because that's a bit too much, even for conditional bombs. It is a conditional bomb, but too conditional. And a little bit too few bomb. Too small of a bomb. Unbroken, different colors, which I think is cool. Draw a card and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. For 5 is not too good. 5 mana, put a 4/4 onto the battlefield again, makes them playable, I would say. -8, you will not get there, but search your library for any number of dragon creature cards and put them onto the battlefield. Okay, that does win you the game, I guess, in a cool way as well. So you want this in a dragon deck, and it creates you a 4/4 dragon. Sure, that's playable in that deck. Sarkhan Vol, 4 mana, creatures you control get +1/+1 and haste until end of turn. Okay, that's a good on +1 if you can use the -2 to help him survive. But gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it, it gains haste. Nowadays, I want to pay like, well, sometimes 4, but that is if it's recursive. Otherwise, 3 or 2 mana for that. Sauce. Wanderer to Shiv. I think this is an online card again. Yeah. Sarah. Creatures you control with flying get +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, that's synergy. Flying creatures, like 1 power already, is pretty good on a flying creature. But you do need many, so not really a bomb there. create a 4/4 with flying and vigilance. That's very much on par, actually. So, like I said, I would pay 5 mana for that. In some formats. -6, you get an emblem with, if you control a creature, damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1, reduces it to 1 instead. So, as you can get to there in 2 turns, let's say you are a flying deck, right? So, I think there it is a bomb, actually. Yeah. Let me explain. You are a flying deck. You get in for 20 damage. I don't know how many flyers you have out there, but that's okay. That's okay and feasible. You +2 her, then your opponents need to attack her. So in that swinging moment, I think she becomes a bomb. But it's conditional on that moment where you are a flying deck and you are in a swinging competition with your opponents. Then she becomes a bomb. And it's just 4 mana, so you can do something else in that late game. So yeah, that's my explanation for that. CV3 can be your commander, 4 mana. +1 until your next turn. Creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays 2 life for each of those creatures. I think that is really good protection, actually. But what else? -3 is to search your library for a dragon card revealed, put it into your hand and shuffle. As a commander, yeah, I didn't even know of this. But you do need a Dimir dragon deck. I think that is really weird. But feels like a bomb. Because it's a tutor on a commander. Ooh. Nah, synergy piece. A tutor though, for dragons, but are there so many good dragons in Dimir? Okay. For this, let's pull out the Scryfall and let me look at the best dragons in these colors for a moment. So yeah, we need. Can you see this if I do this? Yeah, you can wait. Okay, let's do that. Okay. So we need. You see what cards I search are. Advanced search. Then we need. Oh, you do see it in a weird way, don't you? But you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm looking for something. So the type line needs to be dragon. Then the colors, and I always forget how this works, but need to be blue, black, and not exactly, but like at most these colors, I believe it is. And then we search. Yeah, okay. And then I want to, I guess, maybe this. Sure. Are there really? These are not really answer pieces. That is why I think, because they're all like 7 mana. This one is 4, I guess. But is that good? Enter step. You may cast it from your graveyard if a creature not named him died. 5/2. Sure. Renari. You may cast dragon spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. Pretty good. The dragon engine. It plays with a red. Yeah, no, doesn't work. Dragon turtle. No, yeah, these other ones are also expensive. I think that makes her not a bomb, to be honest. I'll finish this page, but I really don't No. No. Okay, not a bomb. Synergy piece though. I think that is still true. Okay. Sorin, Grim Nemesis, 6 mana, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to its converted mana cost. I guess synergy with that, looking at your top and then having a Eldrazi there. Minus X to deal X damage to target creature or planeswalker and you gain X life. Removal. -9, put a number of 1/1s with lifelink onto the battlefield equal to the highest life total among all players. So that could kill someone if they don't have blockers. But you will never get there. Imperious Bloodlord. 3 mana. Target creature you control gains Death Touch and lifelink. If it's a vampire, put a +1 counter on it. So this is for a vampire tribal, I guess. Death Touch and lifelink is okay. I think that makes him, in that specific deck, just playable. Yeah, a +1 counter isn't that good. You may sacrifice the vampire. When you do, he deals 3 to any target and you gain 3 life. Is again removal for 3. That is good, but not that good. It is a plus. Let's look at the last one. You may put a vampire creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Okay, if you have a very big vampire, I think that makes him very playable in the vampire deck. Could even be a synergy piece. Yeah, like we have Olivia, who is a very big bomb. Yeah. I think we make it a synergy piece. Lord of Innistrad, 4 mana, put a 1/1 with lifelink onto the battlefield. You get an emblem, -2, with creatures you control get an extra power. I like that. That's a -2. I think that is really strong. Yeah, I don't know where he is. Is it this? No. No, right? No, I don't think so. Did we make a mistake again? Yeah, I think we did. Okay, wait. What did we do wrong? Oh, here. What did we make him? Synergy for big spells, yeah. Because that could be a lot of damage. Yeah, okay. He just stands in the same way. I couldn't see it. But I think that's very playable. You want like, maybe it's even synergy. An emblem that's forever, +1 power for a lot of small creatures. Yeah, sure. I see like a Orso small token deck here. With some other planeswalkers there. Synergy, yeah. -6, which could be happening with a little bit of protection from the 1 vampire you get every turn. Destroy up to 3 target creatures and or other planeswalkers. Return each card put into the graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. So you need to successfully remove 3 creatures, but then you get them back. Okay, I like that, and might be possible sometimes. Sorin Markov deals 2 damage to target creature or player, and you gain 2 life. Okay, I guess as that is a 2, that's pretty good. Is this a... no. Yeah, it is. Okay, -3, you can do this immediately. Target opponent's life total becomes 10. Yeah, this is a definite bomb. Why? Because 10 is not too much in some formats. Yeah, that could definitely pretty quickly steal the game for you, I would say. Yeah. The last part, you control target player during that player's turn, won't happen because you want to -3 so badly. It is a little bit of a threat as well, so maybe you want to keep it around. But then they will keep the planeswalker down anyways. Solemn Visitor, 4 mana, creatures you control get +1/+0 and lifelink until end of turn. Not playable yet, but put a 2/2 on with flying onto the battlefield. not playable yet. -6, you won't get there, but you get an emblem with at the beginning of each opponent upkeep, they sacrifice a creature. That is pretty backbreaking, but not a game winner, which we want. Sorin the Mirthless, 4 mana, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal the card, and this is the last card that we will look at for today, by the way. And put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value. Draw a card, that's fine, I guess. Doesn't make it playable yet, I would say. -2, create a 2/3 with flying and lifelink. That's like 3 mana. It makes him playable, but I wouldn't say this is something you want to win the game with. -7, deal 13 damage to probably your opponent and gain 13 life. You will never do that. And with that, I will end this episode. And thank you for watching. And have a nice day.